All right, hey you guys, and welcome back to Air Combat USA, Long Beach, California. We are going to be talking about flying fighters and performing aerobatic maneuvers. Now, we do a lot of air combat maneuvering while we are here at Air Combat, but we also do another profile, which is aerobatics. And it's when we take an aerobatic fighter aircraft like a Marchetti or a P-51 Mustang, and we perform maneuvers that you would see at an air show. Now, when you're getting ready to learn to fly something like this, it's important to go through a whole series of maneuvers so that you can become familiar with its entire flight envelope. And performing aerobatics is certainly a part of that. And I like our people to get a chance to get hands-on with these aircraft and to perform a whole series of maneuvers. And we break our aerobatic maneuvers down into 4 food groups, if you will, of aerobatics. And the way I like to think about them is the way Michael Gulliam thinks about it in his book, Basic Aerobatics, which is the roll, the loop, which is this shape, the hammerhead, which is straight up and straight down, and the spin, which is kind of falling and spiraling. And if you think about flying aerobatics into these 4 food groups, you'll start to find yourself being able to see the other shapes, the more complex shapes. But before you can get to all the more complex shapes, you have to learn the basics. So I like to start my students off with a hands-on flight in the Marchetti to kind of feel how it flies, moving the stick left and right, bringing the nose up, bringing the nose down. And once they feel relatively comfortable with the airplane, we begin to work them into this aerobatic sequence. The first maneuver that we do, the roll, requires the airplane to build some speed. So for consistency and for maneuverability's sake, we dive to about 150 knots. Then we bring that nose up nice and high above the horizon, maybe 20, 30 degrees above the horizon, by pulling back on the stick, then pausing with the stick neutralized. 3, 2, 1, hard left, lots of left stick with a touch of left rudder in the direction of the roll, and we roll with the nose high like that. Now the reason we bring the nose up before we begin the roll is because, as you remember from a previous episode with the lift vector, as you begin to roll, that lift vector starts to point not at the blue sky anymore, but it's pointed toward the horizon. Now it's pointed toward the ground, continuing to point towards the ground. Now as that's happening, the nose is starting to fall, and then we'll begin to finish the maneuver as we get past the 3/4 mark. Now the lift vector started to point toward the blue sky again, and you're back to level. So cheat that nose up. This is a great tip to get your rolls to come out better, is to pull up nice and nose high before you begin the roll so that you won't lose any altitude during the roll. And make sure you use a little bit of rudder in the direction of the roll to help accentuate the roll rate and to compensate for what we call adverse yaw. Talk about that in a later episode. And that is your roll. So rolling is the quintessential maneuver of aerobatics. Every time you go to an air show and you see an airplane maneuvering, one of the main maneuvers that you'll see at an air show, especially with something like a P-51, is this aileron roll. It's mostly done with the stick, and those are the ailerons causing that. We do them in both directions. You'll find that a lot of guys like to roll with the direction of the torque. And as we talked about in an earlier episode, the propeller is rotating this way, and the equal and opposite reaction is the yaw and the roll. The airplane actually rolls a little bit faster to the left. So keep that in mind as you do your roll to the right. Maybe you'll cheat the nose up even a little higher. So as you roll to the right, you will be able to overcome the torque and get a pretty nice roll rate out of it as well. The loop. The loop is a little different. So now we're going to take the airplane diving down to 190 knots. Lots of speed. So to think about it this way, the more speed you have on the airframe, the more energy you have available to compensate for any errors. So could you do this thing from 160? Yes, you could, but let's go ahead and push that speed up to 180, 190 knots. So you've got a little extra oomph out of it, a little more sauce on it. So as you pull back on the stick, you're going to get a huge vertical zoom out of this thing. And what we're talking about in a Marchetti is about 1,500 feet of zoom, which is a pretty large loop, lots of time pulling back on the stick and up and over the top into this shape. Now, when you do the maneuver, remember we talked about the G's, tighten up your stomach muscles before you pull back on the stick. As soon as you get that nose tracking up above the horizon. Looking forward isn't going to help you anymore now. Now you need to look out at the wingtip so you can see your wing pivoting relative to the horizon and keep that wingtip tracking and moving, okay? So what you do not want to see is as you're moving the stick back is to see that wing stop. If the wing stops, it means you made a flat spot, like a stop sign, or you're making a flat spot on your loop. You want to keep a nice smooth arc, and in order to keep that arc happening, you got to keep the stick coming back and keep that wing tracking on the horizon. Now, once you get to about here, another great place to look is not continue looking at the wingtip, but now if you're in the cockpit, you can throw your head back and look straight up and see the horizon behind you now. So now you're looking upward, you're gonna see the horizon back behind you. That gives you an opportunity to check the wing line to see if you're still level with the ground, which hopefully you are. If you're not, make a little stick correction left or right to get the wings nice and level across the top. Coming down the back side, you're going to again look back out towards your wingtip, tighten up your stomach muscles as you begin the pull, and exit the maneuver at the same altitude, on the same heading, at about the same energy state, and that's how you know you did a really nice loop. A couple of errors that could occur here. As you get up over the top, your high power setting low speed, that could cause you to yaw to the left, so you might need a little bit of right pedal at the top, a little right rudder. And as you come down the backside, you want to relax that right rudder, maybe come in with a little left pedal as you begin to put a little bit of G on to get the airplane to line up on its initial target heading. So those are the finer points of a loop, and we'll do those in our aerobatic profile. That's the second maneuver we'll do. The third maneuver we do in the Marchetti is called a hammerhead. And the hammerhead is the one where we take the airplane straight up, so it's kind of set up like a loop, 190 knots. Tighten up your stomach, 3, 2, 1, pull, pull, pull. Look out the left side. Pull only 90 degrees until you're perpendicular to the horizon and then come off the pull, right? So relax the back pressure, back to neutral, allowing the airplane to zoom vertically for about 1,100 feet or so. As the speed is decreasing, and it's coming down fast, we're decreasing speed very quickly in the vertical line like this, even wide open on the throttle. The speed is rolling back. As the speed rolls back to sub 70, so between 70 and 50 knots, we're going to put in left pedal. So we deflect left rudder with our left foot, okay? Full left rudder and right stick. Now, why do we put in right stick here? We're putting in the left rudder to get the airplane to start to fall left. So we want to get it to do this pivot like this. But if we only use rudder, you're going to get the airplane to begin to roll left too. So we use right stick to compensate for that left rolling tendency that we're going to experience from the torque. So we come in with left pedal to make the plane start to fall left, right stick, kind of cross-controlling here to get the airplane to pivot and stay flat. Right about here, we're going to come in with full right rudder to keep from pendulum swinging past vertical and neutralize the stick as we get the airplane established on a vertical downline. Look at your wingtip, make sure you're 90 degrees, and now we're accelerating straight toward the ocean. Tighten up your stomach muscles and pull out. This is a course reversal maneuver. It looks a lot like a half pipe maneuver as you see in the Winter Olympics, right, on the snowboard. So like a half pipe maneuver, reverse course, and pop out the other way. That's a really cool shape. Marchetti does a really nice one. The last maneuver I teach people is the one that everyone's concerned with. They go, oh man, we're gonna do the dreaded spin. You saw the movie Top Gun and you go, oh my God, that can't be good. You know, we're going out to sea. It's really a maneuver that every pilot should learn. And I like to think of the spin as the maneuver that is critical to understanding the aerodynamics of the way your plane flies. So once you get comfortable with some of the more simple maneuvers, the rolling, looping, hammerheading, I like people to try the spin if they're feeling comfortable with it and their stomach's still feeling solid. So we bring the nose up and we slow the plane down. As we bring the plane's speed back, and you'll notice the plane flies more and more nose high, like this. The reason why it needs to fly more and more nose high is because there's not enough airflow going over the wings in order to keep it in the air, so we have to increase our angle of attack to accomplish that. Clean with the flaps up and minimum airspeed, you're gonna find the airplane is no longer climbing. It's barely able to fly at about 70 knots, okay? From this point, we go ahead and we roll the throttle all the way off, bring that nose up a little bit more. You're gonna feel the shudder of the buffet, right? The stall is right there. So stall warning is on. Buffeting is beginning, sticks full aft, then we come in with left pedal. Full back stick, full left pedal, and the airplane will roll over on its back and begin to spiral down like a belly down skydiver, okay? So this is what it looks like from God's eye view. From your perspective, from the cockpit, you're looking ahead and to the left and you're looking at the coastline. You're gonna see that coastline turning rapidly, of course, away from you, and then back to you. You see it again, there's coastline. There's coastline. So what I do to time this is as I start to see 2.5 to 2 3/4, relax the back pressure and full and opposite right pedal at just the right time, we can get the airplane to exit the spin on heading. So were we out of control here, or are we doing what we've asked the plane to do? I would think it's the latter. We are actually doing this on purpose, shuttering, full back stick, full left pedal, spiral down, counting rotations. There's 1 turn, there's 2 turns, relax the back pressure, full right pedal, neutralize the pedals, neutralize the stick, let the airplane accelerate, start adding power back in and recover towards the coastline, and you've essentially done a 3-turn spin to the left in just a few seconds. Now, what's the big deal with this thing? Really not much G's. We are losing a lot of altitude. So to understand the value of this exercise is to understand how much altitude loss that you get from each turn. In a Marchetti, it's about 700 feet per turn. You're coming down at about 10,000 feet a minute. Very similar to a skydiver, right? So we're back to that analogy. We're falling like a rock. We're rotating around our center of rotation. The left wing is slightly more stalled than the right. That's why it's doing this really wicked spin rotation. But the moment we put the stick forward, you're going to feel a little shudder. You'll feel the airflow begin to reattach itself to the shape of the wing, and the airplane will shudder, boom, it's out of it. And then now all you need to do is just add power and recover and check your altitude. And if you were doing it pretty accurately, pretty correctly, you'd notice you lost 714, 2,100 feet in your 3-turn spin. If it took you 2,500, you know you could have done better, right? So that's the profile for the aerobatics in the Marchetti. It's very, very standard for fighters. This is what I would teach if I was flying a P-51 Mustang. They will not teach this in the F-16 and the F-18. Spinning any jet-powered aircraft with the motors in the back, not good. You'll find that that's something those guys will not do. But with the engines in the front, this airplane really wants to end up in some kind of a nose-low dive, so it's plenty safe. We'd love to have you come out with us and do some aerobatics in our Marchetti. Hopefully this has been useful to you. If you've had a good time, please click the like button. If you have not subscribed, please do so. Leave us any comments down in the comments section. Be happy to answer any questions for you. My name is Mike Blackstone. We're at Air Combat, and we'll see you guys in the next video.